Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about what I think Sega could add into the game to increase its replayability and longevity of its current content. So without adding any new content, these are some system changes which I would love to see because it would give me more of a reason and more of an incentive to continue playing the game as much as I do right now. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload PSO2 content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing is a humble flex, and over here when we go to personal and go to game achievements, you can see that I have 404 hours on New Genesis and 1,653 hours on base PSO2. So that's a total of like 2,057 hours. I play a lot of this game, okay? However, the point I want to make is after playing 404 hours on this character in New Genesis, we can see over here my inventory that I have managed to finally get a Fix-A-Guard 4 unit, right? However, if you look at my other units, you know, they're Fix-A-3, Fix-A-4s, and if you look at my weapons, you know, I have the Wired Lance, which I bought. This Fix-A-4 was bought, and as for these, they were all farmed. But out of 400 hours, I've only managed to get 3 pieces of Fixa armors that are actually viable. As for the weapons, I don't think I've gotten any Fixa 4 weapons on this character. If we go to default storage, weapons, and go by rarity, you can see here that, you know, I've got a Vialto launcher that's Fixa 3 attack, but that's about it. None of my other 4-star weapons are actually Fixa 3 or above. And this is an issue. In base PSO2, I praised the game so much for respecting the player's time. You had your dailies, you had your weeklies, you had all of these different activities which you can do, and it felt rewarding. The amount of time you put in, you got ample reward back, and it felt like your character was always progressing regardless if you had 10 minutes to play every day, an hour to play every day, 10 hours to play every day. It was very linear. The more time you put into your character, the more powerful your character got. It was very, very simple. However, in New Genesis, it doesn't feel like that. In New Genesis, it's the very beginning, the ramp up is super fast. You know, you're leveling up insanely quickly when you complete your dailies, when you complete your weeklies, when you're doing the storyline. You get to around level 13 or 14 and then you hit that wall where you're like, oh, there's no more content except for grinding and gearing up. But there's no side quest, there's no story quests, there's no repeatable quests, and you're kind of stuck in this loop of, oh, I have to just log in every day, I'll do my dailies, and that is the most bang for my buck, because you do your dailies, you get a substantial amount of EXP, you do your weeklies, you get a substantial amount of meseta, but after that, the game doesn't respect your time. The game design expects you to go to a combat zone and grind there indefinitely with no real indication of, hey, if you spend 10 hours here, you are guaranteed to get XYZ. It's just random, because everyone is hunting for those Fixa gears, because that is pretty much the only quote-unquote end game we have right now, is to get all Fixa 5 units or armors and all Fixa 5 weapons. But there is no guarantee and there is no roadmap in order to get there. So what I'd like to suggest is having an item called Stella's Wish or something, which allows you to add a Fixa onto a weapon that doesn't have a Fixa, or allows you to transfer Fixa from one weapon to another, or allows you to upgrade the current Fixa you have. Let's say you have a Fixa 4 guard like myself and you want to bump it up to Fixa 5. Maybe you need 3 of these Stella Wishes and boom, it can upgrade it to Fixa 5 guard or Fixa 5 whatever. And add the Stella Wish into the monster drop table, but more importantly, have an NPC standing next to the Ryuker device in every combat zone, where you can exchange combat zone currency into other items. So, for example, let's say that in order to get the Stella Wish, you need 5,000 kills in Rezel Forest or in labs or in wherever. Maybe make that battle currency universal, so it doesn't matter if you farm in Mount Magnus or in labs or in Rezel Forest. All of those currencies that you get for killing these monsters is the same. We'll call it combat coins for the sake of this video. So for every monster you kill, you get 1 CC or 1 combat coin. And let's say in order to buy a Stella Wish, you need 5,000 CC or 10,000 CC. So it's guaranteed that, hey, if you grind in this area for X amount of time, you are guaranteed to get one of these stellar wishes. And maybe add other items into this shop that this NPC sells. You know, add in alpha reactors, add in materials. So when people are endlessly grinding in combat zones, they can indefinitely swap out for materials that they need for Meseta or for these stellar wishes. So you are constantly progressing your character regardless of the RNG drops. Sure, you might get lucky and you might get a fix of 5 drop. However, if you don't, then at least the game guarantees that, hey, if you put in 100 hours into the game of constant grinding, you're guaranteed to get X, Y, and Z. That way players are incentivized to continue playing the game because they can see the progression, they can see the roadmap, and they understand that, hey, if I want a guaranteed way to gear up, this is how I'm going to do it, and I can keep playing. A good example in base PSO2 was Divide Quest. We saw that our Klaus units or Crass units needed all of these different materials. However, we were guaranteed said materials every single week as long as you did your Divide Quest. However, you were also allowed to continuously run Divide Quest as much as you want in order to farm up for even more of those materials so that you feel the progression of upgrading your armor, of upgrading your weapon, and it just feels much better instead of just depending purely on RNG. Now, speaking about RNG, you guys just saw earlier that my main character or my ship 2 character has 404 hours on New Genesis. You can see this is my ship 1 character. She has 133 hours on New Genesis. However, let me log in and let me show you her gear. So you can see here in the 133 hours I've played on my ship 1 character, I have a Fixa level 5 Termina, I have a Fixa 3 Fatale Katana, I have a Fixa 5 attack Vialto Talus. So this is insane. Like, if I had any of these items right now on my ship 2 character, I would be jumping up with joy because I put in so much time in that character. And I find it very frustrating and disheartening that it is just RNG. Your fixas, in order to get fixas, there is no linear path for progression. It's just purely RNG. Grind here for 20 hours and maybe you might get a fixa item. And I find that RNG very, very frustrating because there is no respect for the player's time. The game is literally telling you, hey, just keep playing the game. We're not sure when it's going to reward you, but maybe you'll get rewarded after 2,000 hours. Who knows? It's RNG. And that is a huge slap in the face compared to base PSO2. When we played base PSO2, it was all about respecting the player's time, saying, hey, we know you can only play this game 1 hour a day, or some days you can't even play the game, and the entire game of base PSO2 was built around that, respecting the player's time. Then we come into NGS where it's an open world, it feels great, it plays great, but it does not respect the player's time and does not have a clear roadmap of progression, which is why a lot of people are getting very frustrated, myself included. And to add salt onto injury, the new content that we get, for example the Gigantics, which is great content, is randomized. So that's another slap in the face saying that, oh yeah, just log on, stay on the game. We don't respect your time. Even though I know you can only play an hour a day, we're not going to let you know when the Gigantics spawn. So you could just play your hour normally, and if it spawns during that time, great. If it doesn't, well, too bad. And that is really, really infuriating and really ticks me off, because how could you transition from such an amazing base game into what is supposed to be your successor, and this is what we end up with? I don't understand the thought process. I don't understand what happened, but they need to fix this. They need to change this. I personally am a very patient person. I can wait until December. I can wait until next year, and I will keep playing the game as long as we are drip-fed content and there's new stuff coming in every single month. However, the majority of players are not as patient as me. They come in, they play the game for 2 hours, they have a blast, and then they're like, oh, that's it. Oh, I guess I'm switching to another game, and they leave it, and they don't come back. Because they're like, oh, I remember that game. Yeah, it was alright, it wasn't amazing, but I remember when I finished that 2 hour mark, I hit that wall where I couldn't progress anymore, and the game wanted me to grind, and it wasn't fun, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so it's really, really important for Sega to give the players a good first impression. At the current state of the game, you do have a good first impression. The problem is that impression only lasts for 1 to 2 hours, and that is it. So I'm really hoping in the coming months that Sega's going to be communicating with us a lot more, as well as letting us know what they are planning and hopefully implementing a more linear path of gear progression, as well as respecting the player's time. That is the key thing that I need Sega to understand, and I hope that Sega will listen to, because at the current state of the game, there is zero respect for the player's time in the end game, if you can even call it an end game. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. If you did, I would appreciate a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome, for the heals, the boosts, the rest.